tutorial, and what we're gonna do is make some application which communicates over a serial port and runs on our 4G routers. So let's make application which runs at the edge and runs in a Docker. What that means from the software development perspective is we can have multiple applications, easy management, easy deployment, and we do not need to worry about how we're gonna manage multiple versions or updates of that same application. So what I'm gonna show today is pretty much what this is, and we have RS-232 on both devices. So we have a serial device which communicates or sending data to our router where our application runs and it's being processed there. What is important to note is how we gonna expose that host RS-232 port on the router to our Python application. It all works as in standard Docker, so let's have a look at it. So what we're gonna do is this is our router, so let's just log into it. Here we go. I zoom in so it's easier to read. So from our router perspective, we have Docker router app installed, and that's pretty much it. We do not have expansion port like this. Expansion port 1, which is our RS-232, it's not enabled. No. So it's very important, otherwise the system would log that port and it would not be available for our application. Let's have a look how it looks from the perspective of Docker on that router. So I do have that application running at the time, and as you can see with in my containers, its status up for 5 hours. If I gonna look at the log, pretty much all the standard Docker commands are available through this interface. So we can see our what's the application outputting in the console. And as you can see, we are running, or I am running Flask application. So let's see what the application does. What it does is show some status, or some text, and I am changing the version so it's obvious what we are running. And so that's one web page hosted on port 8000, and if we gonna go serial and let's send some serial text 222. Here we go, we have 222 displayed there. My setup is exactly was this. The serial device, this guy, is in my case another router which is configured here, and it's basically standard configuration, expansion port 1, which is RS-232, standard COM port setting, and I am running it as a TCP server on port 5051, which gives me pretty much this option to connect via telnet to that IP address and port. So that's how I am simulating and sending data over serial to my router. So let's have a look. So that's pretty much working. So how we gonna do about that starting from scratch? One more note, my application is hosted on Docker Hub. My Python app test, we have few versions already, so we're gonna start. Let's do it. So first of all, we need to stop the container to be able to remove it successfully. So let's stop the container. Stopping. It will take a little bit. So we have stopped the container. Now we forgot to remove it. So let's remove it. Remove. Okay. Okay. Just to double check for someone who thinks this is not live. It is live. We are not able to access that service anymore. Let's get rid of this image. Okay, I will just remove. Okay, let's remove it. I go here, copy my application name or the Docker image name. Okay, let's delete it. So I don't have any containers or images at the moment on this unit. So let's search for it. Yeah, paste, that's mine. And the search, by default, it's search at the Docker Hub. You can add your private repositories as well. So when you search, it will search those as well. Okay, here it is. Let's pull this Docker image. As you can see, it's using default latest tag. This will take a little bit. It's just normal Docker pull. Okay, so our Docker pull is done. Let's hit continue. Here we go. So let's see, router apps, Docker, images, and see where we are at this moment. It should be all done. Here you go. So what we need to do now is hit run. And this Docker interface pretty much allow you to do all the features for the Docker command, or all parameters, or you can just paste the whole command line in here. So in my case, I want my application to work unless it's stopped, because I am serving the web page on port 8000. That's a host, and in my container, Flask application has default port 5000. And what we're gonna do with the serial? So on our Advantech ICR 3232, the RS232 port is S0, and I am using the same COM port in my Python application. We do not need to give it extra privileges with this command. So what we practically have here only is these few things which our COM ports, our port mapping for HTTP service, and the restart policy as well. So these three parameters I have changed. So let's run the Docker image. Let's wait a little bit for a few seconds for this to take effect, and we should be there. Alrighto. So it's up and running. Here we go. Let's double check that. We have our version 7. So let's have a look. This is working. Let's look at our serial part and send 1111. Here we go. And that is working as well. So here we go. At the moment we do have running application at the edge on our ICR 3232. The application is run as a Docker container and it's pulled from our repository. Just a note, Linux ARM v7 is that's how we run the application in the Docker at the edge. In the next video I will show how to make this application to update automatically as soon as we push new version to our Docker repository. So stay tuned and I will see you in the next video.